Dear farmers, welcome to the My Shamba series. And we are back on this site where a few weeks ago we did sowing of the seeds. And we took you through what we did on this site. And following some of the requests we've had from you, we want to take you through what we have done so far to this point and what we expect to do from this point onwards up to transplant. So number one, we said that for best results, always put at least 1.25 kilos of onion seeds, targeting 1 acre. So ideally, 1 kilo has about 250,000 seeds. So for every kilo, you will get 250,000 seeds. So ideally, when you have 1.25 kgs, you have more than 300,000 seeds per acre. And then when you are sowing the seeds, because the onion seeds are very tiny, ensure that you do not overcrowd the seeds, because that is one of the biggest challenge onion farmers always have when starting the journey. You find that farmers will overcrowd the seeds in the nursery or in the seedbed, and then when germination occurs, they don't attain good germination. So basically, if you're having 250,000 seeds per kilo, and then you overcrowd this, say you lose about 50,000 seeds. So ideally, you started from a loss gear, because you've already lost a good chunk of money that you had invested in the seeds, because these seeds are actually pricey. So for 250,000 seeds, just about that's our 1 kg, you find that it's more than 25,000 seeds, 25,000 shillings. So you need to ensure that you do not overcrowd the seeds in the seedbed, so that when germination occurs, there's no competition that will lead to losses in the nursery. So ensure that you do not overcrowd this, and that's what we exactly did here. We did not overcrowd the seeds, so we have attained good germination, and we expect majority, actually 95 or to 98% of the germinated seeds to transform into seedlings that we will do the transplanting in the farm. And then when you sow your seeds, then there are several challenges that you as an onion farmer you expect just immediately you sow, especially if you've used manure in the seedbed. Then you expect that at germination you're most likely going to have challenges of chafer grubs or cutworms. So you need to prepare for that. And then also for the dumping of disease that majorly occurs after germination, then you also need to prepare for that. And that is why when you are sowing your seeds, you have an option of using a seed dresser. Majorly we've used on this site, we used apron stuff, and also we ensure that our seed bed is well protected by spraying a metalaxyl and a mancozeb immediately after transplanting and after the first irrigation. So that ensures that when your seeds germinate, you do not lose your seeds to fungal attack, especially the dumping off, and then also you don't lose your seedlings to cutworms and chafer grubs. So those are the major challenges that you expect when you sow the seeds to transplant to germination, and then after germination, then you need to understand that onions are not highly rooted or deeply rooted plants like the maize or the other tomatoes. So the roots are really superficial. So you need to ensure that before you prepare your seedling for transplanting, and ensure that the seedling is very healthy, because there's some seedlings that we posted last week recently, and most of the farmers were asking, what have you done to these seedlings that are very healthy? You're transplanting the seedlings and they're really healthy. We really admire those seedlings. So you need to start preparing these seedlings for transplanting. And how do you do that? You actually focus on nutrition. So crop nutrition is an integral part in getting the right seedlings for you to take to your farm. And basically, this points towards how you feed your seedlings as you prepare them for the farm. And immediately after germination, we advise, or we have done here, we actually applied a starter fertilizer by spraying or drenching on the nursery. And by this, we used a high P, a fertilizer or foliar fertilizer for fertigation that has high P, high phosphorus, and also just has NPK but high P. So it implies, it doesn't mean that you only need P, you also need the other elements, but P is required in high quantities. So at that time, we just used an a foliar fertilizer. We did the fertigation here by drenching, literally drenching, because we used an uptack, ensuring that we are wetting the bed with a solution of the product. And here we used agri-growth starter. So agri-growth starter is a fertilizer. Basically, you dissolve it in water and then you apply it on the nursery as a drench. And then we ensure that also we supplied diammonium phosphate, DAP, which has 18:46:0 as a ratio. Just after germination, we gave it 1 week, and then we just applied a small amount of DAP to ensure that we are supporting the seedlings to have good roots. And as you can see, the seedlings are really good. They are really impressive, and we expect to have very good transition from the nursery to the site that you're going to transplant. So for the onion farmers, these are some of the challenges that we have seen. For those who are venturing into onions, we have seen them getting this challenge, especially on preparing the nursery and when for sowing. And then when you sow, do not overcover the seeds. Just do not overcover the seeds, because when you overcover the seeds, then the seeds, once they germinate, they start struggling to get out of the soil. And by the time they're getting out of the soil, they're very weak and time has gone. So you really need to ensure that you do not overcover the seeds so that you get good germination, and you ensure that you do not compromise on the quality of the seedlings before transplanting. And then one of the things we've also noted is when you advise a farmer to apply, say, DAP or the starter fertilizer basal application for the fertilizer, there's always one challenge that most of the farmers get. They get scorching effects on the seedlings because of the way they apply. So ensure that you apply sparingly, you don't overcrowd or oversupply the nutrients, because you'll have the burning effect and you lose some of the seedlings. So ensure that you do apply it well so that you do not lose your seedlings that you've really struggled to get them up to this point. And then at this point where we are here, we are expecting to transplant these seedlings in the next 3 weeks. So what we are going to do next is we are going to protect these young plants against fungal attacks. And majorly now we are targeting downy mildew, and also we are looking at that is on the fungal attacks, and also we are looking at some of the pests that are now common. We have leaf miners. Leaf miner are actually one of the most important pests now in onions. Most farmers don't realize that. By the time they are realizing that it's leaf miner, most would think maybe it's purple blotch, maybe it's downy, but leaf miners are actually a menace now. So we are going to spray against the leaf miners. We already sprayed against the thrips, which are actually one of the most important pests in this crop. And then, but at this point, as we've managed them, we don't have a problem with the thrips now. And then we are going to prevent or to protect the plants against the leaf miner and then against the downy mildew. And also we are going to supply some high nitrogen. That's what we're going to use to do CAN, which has 26% N. And basically, once we do the application, then we will trim off the tips. So in the next 2 weeks, actually in the next 1.5 weeks, we are going to trim off the tips. We expect these seedlings to have grown very fast or very well. So once we trim off the tips, then we will be preparing these seedlings for transplanting. So others have been asking, why do you trim off the tips? There are so many reasons why we trim off the tips, but I'll just give you a few which are most important. One is because in the nursery, you'll find one or two plants have been attacked by the downy mildew, which basically you'll see at the tips, the burning at the tips. So we trim off the tips so that by the time we're taking these plants to the main plot or the farm, we actually avoid carrying this inoculum of the downy mildew to the main farm. So it's basically like getting rid of the already affected parts so that we have new shoots. And then also to ensure that we actually also stimulate the plant to start having to have a very good stem. So that's one of the reasons that we cut off or we trim off the tips, but it's done just before transplant. So welcome farmers. For those who are doing onions, you can always contact us, Eli Magro, in any of our outlets, and let's work together. Let's farm together.